in the Philippines, we still have a lot of mapping efforts that needs to be done.
1930 Philippine Standard Time.
Okay, thank you for the reminder, Paul. I think our host is here. Okay, Eugene, are you there? Mic test.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, welcome everyone to our 13th Wednesday Mappa Time or WeMap session. So as this is our 13th week of doing Wednesday's Mappa Time, we have already completed 1/4 of online Wednesday Mappa Time sessions. So can I have a round of applause from everyone?
Yay!
Okay. So for this week's Wednesday Mappa Time session, we'll be having the second part of the microtasking platforms for OSM. So for this week, we'll be focusing on the DAM project or Divide and Map Now, and also Map Relay, which unfortunately we weren't able to explain or talk about from last week. So as always, note that this session is recorded and live streamed to YouTube. And therefore, by attending this interactive session, you allow us to reproduce, adapt, publish, display, distribute, and create derivative works of any of your public interactions, which includes audio, chats, screen shares, etc. All information and content are provided as is and without warranties of any kind. And all views, thoughts, ideas, and opinions expressed by participants are personal and not necessarily shared, supported, or endorsed by the organizations and initiatives associated with participants or mentioned herein. And again, as a notice, if you enable your camera or screen sharing, take the necessary precautions to safeguard your private and personal information. That means do not share anything that is considered personal if you don't want it to be published, because we are, as mentioned before, we are mirroring this session to YouTube. Again, we are expecting participants to adhere to our code of conduct because we want to encourage an atmosphere of free of abuse or harassment and characterized by courtesy and respect. So you may see the full text of the code of conduct in this is.3d/67SOWU link. If you encounter any breaches of the code of conduct during the session, please email either at osm.filipinas.coc@gmail.com or send a DM to the tonight's facilitator, me, which is me. Okay, for this week, we'll be talking about a couple of microtasking platforms. So the session guide is already provided in the chat log. And here, there's also the links to the slide decks for the two sessions, for the divided map now, as well as the map relay. So as a reminder, mics are off by default to minimize unwanted noise. So that means if you want to speak, press the space bar to talk or toggle the mic button to speak louder. You can also use the chat mode if you want to write a message instead. Okay, for those who are not familiar with using the Jitsi interface, basically all of the controls are on the bottom toolbar. The screen share, raising of your hand, and the chat log are on the bottom left. Control of the microphone and the camera, video camera is on the bottom middle, and other controls are on the bottom right. Okay, for this week's session, we expect to be finished in 90 minutes. So we'll have around half an hour for the divide and map now tool, another half hour for map relay, and we'll again have another 15 minutes for our know your contributor session or section. And finally, we'll have a bit of wrap up, announcements, and the like. Okay. So again, we'll be talking about the divided map now tool and then the map relay. Okay. I'll now turn it over to Keith.
Yeah, thank you. Hi. I will share my screen. This one, I think. Hope you see my deck.
Yes, we can see your deck.
Okay, so now I will have 30 minutes to talk about divide and map now the Daemon project. In the 30 minutes, I would like to say why, how, show you how to work with the currently running instance of the Daemon project. Then mention deploy and answer your questions. So, why the Daemon project? Well, I started contributing to OpenStreetMap for Missing Maps project through the Tasking Manager. Well, I started at Tasking Manager V2, go through V3, and now there is a V4. And I think that there are some issues with this Tasking Manager, and maybe with the whole project as the concept. Maybe one thing or one example for everything is this email address. In V2, maybe in V3, it was not compulsory. And I don't get why they make the email address compulsory when only 4% of users use the email address. And therefore, I think that the tasking manager is not community driven. I think that the guys who make decisions are the hot tech team, and that it fits needs to hot, not to the mapping community. And but I think that the most important thing was the performance. On Mapathons, we always had the performance issues with the tasking manager, and I think that, yeah, okay, I thought that I can contribute to the tasking manager because I know Python a little bit, so let's work on the tasking manager. So I cloned the repository, and there was a problem. I was a little bit confused with the whole project because it's, for me, it's too complicated. I don't know where start. I don't know where to find information. I can't imagine the tasking manager architecture. And for me, I had feeling that that for the such a not so hard problem of select area, split it to squares and map each square, that the project was too complicated, I would say. So when I was working on the Daemon project, I had a few things in mind. The first technical and non-technical things. The non-technical things, this is just a brief summary of some kind of code of conduct for the Daemon project, which the most important thing is that the community should drive where the project should go. So yeah, and the others are just about the communication inside the community, yeah, which should be as much as helpful and open and efficient as possible. From the technical point of view, I divided up the functionality. So there is exactly divided repositories for server, for clients, for everything. I think that it makes possibility of creating new clients, not just for specified mapper groups, like each mapper groups have another feelings or another things how the group work, but also for multiple users. I mean, managers who manage the areas which should be mapped are not in fact mappers. Yeah, so some kind of different tool may be useful. Yeah, and it makes the client's possibility to make clients fit the mapper's needs. The last thing which this dividing up the functionality helps with is the communication. Because if there is something wrong with the client, then the mappers may communicate with the client developers. They don't need to communicate with the server developers. And it makes, in my opinion, it makes the communication more efficient and more clear. So this was the things I was thinking about when I was writing the Demon project. Yeah. Okay. So now I would like to show how does the thing work. Okay. I will present the manager, running instance of manager, of client, and JSON plugin. I will have some little note to the manager, and it's that in fact the area to map is not limited, but due to performance of database, I set some limits. So if you upload the area, I will show you how in a minute. Then if the area is too small, then the minimal square would be 400 meters. And if it's too big, then there will be maximum of 1024 squares, no more. So we start with the manager here. Still working? Yeah. Okay. I need to authenticate to OpenStreetMap. It's same like here. Only because the system works with tokens and with the RESTful API, then you may do this authentication only once, not each time the server is restarted, or I don't know, only once. Yeah, well, and I will create a new area. I will tag it like vmap testing. I will use the priority number 2. Well, for all the testing areas, I use the priority 1. So I will use the priority 2 here because of ordering on the intro page of the client. But there is no meaning for the priorities. It's just number. So again, we are here in the community, in the idea that the community should drive the project, and the community should decide which priority means what. So there is no limitation on the priority. I will put the description. This is just testing project. Here, instructions. Again, it's not. I would say specified what should be in instructions. Let's say that we will type like map buildings and mark buildings. And again, it's kind of this should be again decided by the community. If you see like this text area, and you know a little bit about JavaScript, then this is a JSON format of the some JSON object. And in fact, this manager works exactly with these JSONs. There is one more manager that doesn't use the the JSON, but there are forms. And again, it's one of the clients, and there can be plenty of clients. Yeah, so like that. Yeah, well, here I need to specify the area to map. It says me that go to GeoJSON and use some GeoJSON file from here. I will do that. I will create some area to map, like this one. I will save it as GeoJSON, my download folder. And now I will use it here, like it was map.json. So post new area, and it should be here. So now we can see this in the client. So here is client, here is manager. If I go back to the areas, here is the area I can load. Yeah, again here. So I can see the area here. I can click on it and download all the informations. But to be able to post something to the server, again, I need to authenticate. So I will authenticate to the OpenStreetMap. Because the daemon JSON manager and the daemon client are different clients, I need to authenticate each time for each client. Yeah, okay. So here, map testing, and this is this project. I can see one thing I learned from my first programmatic contribution, which was the Mapatoner plugin for JSON, is that the users really like to contribute, and one kind of contribution is translating. Therefore, I did a quick translate button here, which I really like. I'll translate it to my native language. So and added the translations. Okay. On the right side, there is a complete history of the area. I can check out the manager, load the area, and I can see the history here. Okay, this is the current area. I see what's happening here. There is a next translation of description, and here is the history. I can roll back this with the clicking on the version in the history and updating area. Now, when I refresh the area, I have only checked English translation, and again I can see here in the manager the history, and again I can choose just some history of the project information or the area information. Yeah, I may update the area, and again there is check translation again. Here is the complete history. In the manager, you can see that this is area information before first change. This is area information before second change, and so on. So here is the log, history log, and here is the same. So now I will map. I can choose if I would like to map random square or map recent square. The idea was that the user should say some more informations or more upper layer information, then I would like to map this square, and I would like to extend this, for example, map square or review square for the newest mapper or something like that. But currently only map random or map recent square are possible. So this will open the ID editor, show the area that should be mapped, and I think that you know this kind of procedure or workflow. So I will check out that there is nothing to map. I will leave the message, the square, nothing to map here, and ready for review. When I go back to the area, I can see on this kind of map that it's changed. I can see the statistics. I can see my statistics that I was mapping somehow. And yeah, I will map random square again. I will show the split functionality. So I am not, in fact, interested in the mapping in ID. I will split this square. Again, go to area, and you can see that this was split. This is ready to review, and so on. And here again, there is the complete history of the everything what's happening in the area. Because of this whole history, the statistics are in fact piece of cake, because you just need to parse all the data and interpret it, and you can find out whatever is going on. So this is mapping, some mapping rate statistics and so on. I would like to show you yet the JSON. Yeah, but I would need to share my whole screen, so I will switch off sharing and share it again, okay? Need to share the whole screen, entire screen. Hopefully it works, and you see the JSON, I hope. Yes?
Yes, we can see just.
Yeah, good. I will open the new layer, set up the imagery for now, and I want to download the plugin. The plugin's name is Daemon. I guess you know how to download the plugins, and so, yeah. I'm already registered here. So you would see the authentication button here, and you would need to switch to the web browser to authenticate, but I already did it. So I will get areas. I can see, yeah, this is the this is the VMap testing area, so I am interested in this one. As you can see, there is only JSON object, and this is because I think that I reached my down limits, let's say. I would like to change it to look it a little bit more friendly, but all of the clients are here, in fact, just to prove that the server works. And I'm not as good in JavaScript, and I'm not good in Java as I'm good in Python, and therefore these kind of things is hard for me. So I'm apologize for this this interface. Yeah, so this is the area. Here is description again in English, Czech, and so on. Here is instructions, and I may select again map or review. So I will map. Some area will load, and I can say there is nothing to map, so I may push it to review. Nothing to map here. Okay, I can do it again, map again. Some area would load. I can see there is nothing. So to review, okay, map again, and so on, and so on, and so on. I may, of course, review squares. When reviewing square, 718, this one, I can prove that it's done. Okay, I may review again. There is again, I mapped it in the last few minutes, so there is nothing to do. It's a pity that I choose this area. There are no buildings, but if you click map and there are, or review, and there are some buildings, the buildings are of course downloaded and you see them here. Yeah, so it's not just downloading. All the data from the OpenStreetMap is downloaded. I can show you maybe when I choose some another area. I don't know, maybe this one. Yeah, so you have all the things from the OpenStreetMap server. Yeah. Okay, I will go back to the client here and check out the our area. There is more of the history, and you can see that this looks like done. This is to review. This one is done. This is to review, and all others are to map. So there is the history done by the JSON plugin, and few of the history done by the web client, and the history done by manager here. It can be seen that I mapped 5 squares and reviewed 3 squares, and the reviewed squares include this one I split, because splitting means marking the square as done and creating 4 another squares. Yeah, well, so this is briefly the manager, the client, the plugin, and everything I think I wanted to say. Wait, okay. The next is just deploy remark. It's because I don't remember things, and because I don't remember things, I must write everything. So even the deployment of the daemon server, which run on daemon project.org, and server runs on server, like here. It's just JSON API to the database. And because I don't remember it, I need to write it down. So there is this daemon deploy, which again, it's up to the philosophy of dividing the functionality, and no administrator of the deployment of the daemon project needs to know the source code, only version and what to deploy and things like that. So there is this how to deploy to your own instance if you would like to. I did it at least twice, for different domains, and I read this documentation each time I am updating the currently running instance. Yeah, well, I have a few minutes yet, but I think that it's all to introduction the daemon project, divide and map now. So I think that I am ready for the questions if you have some. Yeah.
Hi, Keith. I have a question.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the main advantages of using the DAM project, the DAM microtasking platform over the hot tasking manager, which is the most popular? What would be
Yeah,
the main advantages?
I think that when I was writing the Daemon project, I wanted to divide up the functionality. Is the first thing. So I'm the Python programmer. So I will just go to the Daemon server and work just with Python, not with the JavaScript or anything else. If I run the unit tests, I clone just the one thing. It's the same with the daemon deploy. If you would like to deploy the tasking manager, I don't know how to do it, but you will definitely need to clone the tasking manager repository, which is for developers, not for the administrators to deploy. So this is one thing. The second is that I don't feel like the community drives the direction. I have few open issues on the tasking manager. One of them is that it would be good to somehow rewrite the backend to make it a little bit more performant, like with greater performance. But these were moved to backlogged and now are unscheduled because I don't know why. Just I don't think that there is a will to solve the most important issue, which is, in my opinion, the performance. And this is the third thing. I did a load testing for the Mapathon with approximately 100 mappers, and there is the OpenStreetMap diary about that. If I zoom it, then I think that the daemon server performed well, in my opinion. But I would like to see how it would be compared to the tasking manager. And in fact, I didn't see any comparable load testing. The last load testing I saw from the hot tasking manager was some load testing that get 1,000 times the intro page, which is in fact like nothing, because you can cache it, you can do whatever with that. I would like to see some load testing that would simulate the Mapathon, which I wasn't able to perform on tasking manager, because yeah, it's too complicated for me, and yeah, this is cascading the problems. I think so. So if I sum it, I think that the daemon project is like functionality is split it up. That it makes it more convenient to understand. I think that there is more opportunity for community to participate, even in directions, because if you don't like the client, you may fork new client or create new client from the sketch. And the last is the performance. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions for Keith?
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks, Keith, for that. I don't think there are any more questions from the audience. It's nice to hear
I have one more
you
question.
explain that. Is there more question?
Yes, I have one more.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. So Keith, if people want to test your project, is it possible to use your current server for doing that?
Yeah, of course. Do it. If you want to test it, just feel free to do whatever you want with that. I am not going to delete anything. I'm not going to protect it in any way. If you would like to use it in your for mapping parties or like that, just use the priority higher than 1, because there is a lot of testing projects with the priority 1. I use priority 1 for testing for now. So,
All right, thank you.
thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Keith, for that wonderful presentation about the Divided Map Now project. I will admit that I haven't played around with it, but it seems like a very nice and lightweight alternative to the hot tasking manager. So thanks for developing this tool and for providing it to all of the mappers.
It was pleasure. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Okay,
team.
now we'll go to the next part of our session, and this is the map relay tasking tool. So I'll now turn it over to Erwin.
Yes, thank you, Eugene. So good evening, everyone. This is Erwin. I don't have a presentation deck, but I'm going to do a live share of my screen using MapRoulette. So now I'll do just that. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, right. So MapRoulette is another tasking manager. This is the same tasking manager that we're using for the OSMA Paaralan project. We find this as...
Just a question. Is it?
go ahead.
Just a question. Is it map relay or map roulette?
I think map roulette is more common, but map relay is still okay.
Okay.
I think even the French call it map roulette. Roulette.
Okay.
Dati nga chat roulette tawag ko dyan. Iba pala
Okay.
yun.
So for tonight, I might just shorten it to MR to forego the question on pronunciation. But we have Boogie here, who's a journalist who might know better. You can tell us later, Boogie, what's the correct pronunciation. So anyway, so for MapRoulette, again, as I was saying, this is the platform we're using for the OSMA Paaralan project. Okay, so what do we need to use MapRoulette? All we need is our OpenStreetMap account. And to do that, all we need to do is go to the website and then authenticate using our OSF account. So my goal tonight is to demonstrate a very simple task by showing you one of the previously created projects I've done in MapRoulette, and then I will show you the steps of how it was done. Okay, one of the things that we don't have in the Philippines are historic castles. A lot of OpenStreetMap users and contributors usually use the tag for castles, which is historic is equal to castle, to map their homes. As usual, a lot of people want to make sure that their homes are properly mapped. But OpenStreetMap is very we have policies about protecting personal privacy. So unless if there are personal and private information that's being added on features or elements that has been tagged as castles, people will remove it, and of course remove the tag historic is equal to castle, simply because we don't have them in the Philippines. Perhaps the proper tag for addresses will be the address tag, like your house number and the street name, and you don't have to post your personal information. Or you can just add a node or a point as building is equal to house. So let's do a demo of how I would create a task in MapRoulette for finding all elements tagged as castles in the Philippines. So first, we need to sign in with MapRoulette. Since I'm signed in with OpenStreetMap, all I need to do is grant access, give access to MapRoulette so I can use the website. Okay, so this is the basic interface of the MapRoulette website. When you log in, you will find challenges, for example, that you might find interesting. So dito yan sa find challenges. If we zoom into the Philippines, it will list down challenges that are available for that area being displayed on the map panel. So we have here on the left, add schools in the Philippines, which is the project for mapping public schools. We have adding lighthouses, etc. Okay. To create a project or to create a challenge, which is what MapRoulette calls their projects, we need to go to your menu and click on Create and Manage. So you will in my screen I have several ongoing projects, but I will choose this Laba Pusot Banlao, which is where I created a challenge for finding elements in the Philippines that has been tagged as castles. So first, let's see how this looks like. So I click on the challenge, okay, and then on the map, you will see the historical elements that was previously mapped as castles in the Philippines. And as of today, we have 80% of the ongoing tasks has been marked complete. The rest is still for validation by mappers like you. Okay. So to create this challenge, I will go to editing the challenge so I can show you the content of the challenge itself. Okay. So first, the project manager or the one who creates the project has an option of making their projects visible to the public or searchable by clicking on this yes or no option. Of course, a project or a challenge name that is concise and clearly explains what it ought to do is nice to have. So in this case, the project was Castle Features Validation in the Philippines. The description is where you put a longer description to the project. So I'm explaining that in the Philippines, we don't have historic castles. So the tag historic is equal to castle. Used to tag houses for just to make it show on the map is something that we need to correct. Okay, and then a blurb is a brief description, a concise description of your challenge. So in this case, I'm just saying we don't have castles. Instructions are helpful for people who are mapping or helping on your project. So this is where people will find the basic information they need to assist in the project you're doing. So description, instructions, and then change at description is the one you will find in OpenStreetMap as a default text that every mapper will be using if they if they decide to accept the default. Of course, they can change it into something else, but that's the default change at description. And then the source is usually the content of the source is how you got your data or how it was uh, where you found it or the original source of the information. You can also describe whether it's easy, normal, or you expect expert mappers to contribute to your project for difficulty level. And then for the category, these are the options that you have. You can create challenges related to roads, pedestrians, and cycleways. You can have water-related challenges. But in this case, I selected points or area of interest because usually the people who map castles just use it as a point. Keywords are helpful for when people are searching for your project. So of course, since this is limited to the Philippines, I added Philippines. So mapa time is the common keyword we use for a lot of our projects. And then it's a cleanup. Preferred tags are tags that contributors use for several purposes. In OpenStreetMap, in the OSMA Paaralan project, we use the preferred tags to quickly ask the contributor to select a tag that describes what they did. For example, did they find the school in the correct location? Or was it found elsewhere? Was it unverifiable? So the tags the usage of the tags will be different for every challenge. So that will depend on the one who creates the project. And then, this is the first page of creating a project, sa general yan. Next, we click on next or the GeoJSON. The GeoJSON is what tells the project where to find the location of all the elements you want for your challenge. So in the case of the Castle Features Validation project, we're using Overpass. Okay, so I'll display the Overpass query here. I'm using Overpass to query OpenStreetMap every so often so that I could gather all nodes and ways that has been tagged as a castle in the Philippines. So for example, if I recreate this task right now, okay, I'm going to copy this and then I'm going to Overpass Turbo. And I'm going to run that code just so to extract the same information the challenge is using for extracting castles in the Philippines. Okay, it seems like Overpass may not be working correctly today. Okay, there. I'm going to paste the tag. Like the simple equivalent of this query is the same as saying historic is equal to castle in Philippines. And then build and run query. This one is the simplified version. So I'll just run this. So that area, the number you see in the parenthesis, 3600 174 here, is the ID for the Philippines. Oh, okay. Unfortunately, I already exceeded the amount of queries I'm allowed to use for Overpass today. So let me change to a different browser. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yes po.
Okay. So thanks for the tip, Ian. I'll just use the Tor browser so I could use a different IP address. So one way of overcoming IP address limitations by overpass is simply to use a VPN or the Tor browser. Okay. I'm not sure why I exceeded my limit today. I haven't been using overpass. So anyway, while that is loading, um, let me go back to explain other options here. If you are creating a new project, a new challenge, you actually have two other options available for you. You can create from an overpass query, or you can upload a GeoJSON file, or access a remote GeoJSON file as well. But in this case, I'm using overpass. So here we are. I'm pasting the same query and I'm going to run it now. Hopefully without any problems. Okay, the objective of the query that I'm showing on the screen right now is to gather all. Okay, so we have two nodes. So one is a historic castle now named Bangis Castle. Obviously fictitious, and ito, again, this is the common way of people tagging their homes. Everyone's home is their own castle, but unfortunately, that's not something we map on OpenStreetMap. So we have two nodes. Okay, so that's the query. That's the result of the query we'll be getting when we refresh our project. So we'll keep the overpass query as is, and then let's go to priorities. In priorities, it is possible to define how to weight how tasks are served to contributors. For example, in the OSMA Paaralan project, if, for example, the project managers decide for this month, let's prioritize the province of Iloilo. It's possible to define the priority based on attributes of your GeoJSON or the tags available from your file. So this is where you can do that. You can add rules. For example, in the OSMA Paaralan project, if we say for all provinces that has the name Iloilo, that means all tasks for Iloilo, we want you to serve them first above all other tasks. So it's possible to configure your challenge to prioritize certain tasks ahead of certain other tasks based on your requirement. So, but that is optional. And then finally, on the extra tab, these are where you set the options for whether you want to refresh your challenges occasionally. So for the castle features validation, I occasionally remove the stale task because I keep on retrieving the castles being added. I usually do this about once a quarter. And then what is the zoom level of your map? So depending on what imagery you're using, this might you might change this to something else, something appropriate for your challenge. And then for Basemap, By default, I use the OpenStreetMap layer as a standard, but it's possible to use the satellite imagery coming from S3 or Bing, or you can define a custom imagery so you can use, for example, Maxar imagery. So this is where you define it. And these are the advanced options for changing how your challenge will look like. This one is new, requires local knowledge. This is when your challenge is should be limited for people who are from the same location as your challenge. So that means it's meant for locals, so that local knowledge can be used to help validate the task. Okay, so now that I'm done with showing you the different tabs found in every challenge, I'll just go back to Castle's feature validation. Earlier, I said that we usually refresh the challenge every so often, once a quarter. So I will do that now. I'm going to rebuild the tasks for this. Okay, first remove incomplete tasks. So I'm telling MapRoulette to remove all unfinished tasks, and using the query I made for in Overpass to retrieve all elements tagged as castles and create them as tasks in the project. So this will take a few minutes. So while that is happening, let me just show you how the OSMA Paaralan project looks like. So you will have an idea. So we call it Add Schools in the Philippines. Okay. This is what you're seeing on the screen is the dashboard for project managers. We can see how much percentage of the task has been completed, has been skipped, and then what are the status of the tasks that's on the map. I can also filter them, for example. If, for example, I only want to show all tasks that has been fixed so far. That means it's been marked as completed by contributors. So there. These are the areas where contributors has mapped the public schools. Yeah. Okay. If we zoom in, this will display as task of this color. So let's go to Iloilo. So we have Iloilo on the screen. If we select all tasks apart from fix that has been marked as too hard or has been skipped, okay, and we zoom into a particular area. So instead of seeing clusters of tasks, we will see the individual markers displayed on the map. Okay. So all of these red markers has been marked as too hard by the present contributors. So that means these are tasks that has to be reviewed by more advanced mappers. Okay, so yan yung hindi pa namamap because contributors found it too hard. And if you want to show, all the other schools that has been fixed in Iloilo, alisin na lang natin yung so there. So a large majority of the challenges, the tasks in Iloilo for schools has been mapped, and a smaller percentage is still awaiting review. Okay, so let's go back to our challenge. The task has been created. Let's click on Start Challenge. Okay, let's go to the home page first. So according to the project, there are at least one more task that has needs to be mapped. Um, Here's a bug. 287 over 288, of course, is not 100%. But because it's too small and the numbers is being rounded up, we would think that the task has been, all the tasks are has been completed, but it isn't. So let's start reviewing the challenge. So this, if you remember what we did earlier in Overpass Turbo, this is one of the two castles that has been retrieved from OpenStreetMap. Bangis Castle daw, etc. So what I will do is I want to edit this in ID. People who add these, we don't really mean to vandalize the map data. They just want to they want to show the map, force the map to display their favorite places, usually their homes. So upon reviewing, all we can see here is an open field, and this is not mapped at all. It doesn't map anything at all. So instead of deleting this element, which is okay, what I will do is I'm going to delete the name, and I'm going to create a building. Okay. So building house. So building is equal to house. But I'm not sure if it's a house, so I'll just use a generic tag. So instead of deleting it, I change the quote-unquote castle into a building, and I can click on save. But better yet, instead of doing that, sorry. In ID, I forgot, it's not possible to reuse a node to become part of the way, which is how I usually do it in JOSM. Okay, so I'm going to save it now as a node. And this is the default change set comment. As earlier explained, this is what the default comment will be like. But you can change that. For example, I can change it to I remove a castle. And then click on upload. Once I'm done with that, I go back to MapRoulette. And then here I can click that I already fixed the issue. If you weren't able to fix the issue, you have other buttons that's available for you. You can mark it as too hard, or if it's already been fixed, or check the other options that's available for you. So I'll click on I fixed it. If you remember the MR tags earlier, this is usually where you will find if it's been defined. Comments are optional, so I will just click on submit. And there, I actually completed all the available tasks for my challenge castle features validation. Okay, if you notice, now that let's go back, star challenge, sorry, wait and manage, castle features validation. So here our statistic shows that 288 out of 288 tasks has been completed. That means at least 288 fake castles has been corrected in OpenStreetMap since the time this challenge was created. So this is an example of a challenge that can be used for reviewing edits in OSM and using Overpass Turbo to retrieve the live data in OSM and connecting it as a challenge. If you notice, I have a red dot here in my menu. This is a message in the inbox telling me that the project Castle Features Validation Challenge has been completed. So there. So it's just a reminder if you're a project manager of the status of the projects you're working on. Okay? So that's how you create a challenge in MapRoulette. If you have unique tasks or challenges that you want, you can create your own GeoJSON files. In the case of the OSMA Paaralan project, which I was showing earlier, and I'm going to show it to you again now. We were not, of course, retrieving map schools in OpenStreetMap because those schools haven't been mapped in OSM yet. So what we did was, I'm going to edit the challenge so I can show you. In the GeoJSON section of your project management, we uploaded a file of GeoJSON created from data that was contributed by the Department of Education. And we used that to create the task that we have. So let's go through this. The project is visible. The name of the OSMA Paaralan project is Add Schools in the Philippines, so just keep it simple. The description is how, let me show you how this looks like. So for example, I'll click on Add Schools in the Philippines. So the description is this part of your project. When people are browsing your project, this is what people will read. This will tell them about the background of your project. Some people have very simple descriptions, but if you're trying to explain why or convince people to help with your project, it's nice to have just enough information to make it useful for them. And then a blurb. So this is a short or concise description of the project. Here is the description for the instructions. The instructions are shown when you start a challenge. So let's start on one. So this is what you'll find in the instruction box. So all of these attributes come from the GeoJSON file that you create, and they are displayed or retrieved from the GeoJSON file as these double mustache tags. So every time a project is shown, the values you have in your GeoJSON file will be displayed here. So for example, amenities equal to school. What is the value of the school name field added to name? Okay, we have, I think, a comment from in the chat box. Yes, Ian, please go ahead. pwede po ba makita yung sample ng GeoJSON file? Sige, I'll show a sample of a GeoJSON file. But the simplest way of creating a GeoJSON file from whatever format you may have, Mapdex, is use QGIS. Kunyari, ang initial version mo ay CSV or a shapefile. Simplify it and then export it as a GeoJSON file.
Regarding the console tagging, it is classified as tagging for the renderer.
Yeah, tagging for the rent. Yeah.
Particularly for maps.me, though, other users are using other platforms such as ID or Pottouch 2 kung meron, if there are any who still use Pottouch to mark their homes.
Yeah. I think for maps.me users, historic castles are very popular. But lately, I haven't been seeing a lot of these castles. So tagging for the renderer is when you force OpenStreetMap to display a certain element, but not in the expected way by convention. Okay, thank you, Ian. So these are the instructions you will find, the text that you will find in the instruction box. So again, ito yon. The difficulty is set to normal. Preferred tags, like I said earlier, these are the tags that will be displayed to your contributor. For example, if I decide that this task is, I want to skip, there will be a dialog box, and then here I will have a list of tags that I can select. This is optional, of course. At least for us Maparan, this is optional to help describe what they were doing or what happened. So in our case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 tags to describe whether the school location was spot on, so perfect yung DepEd location. Was it found elsewhere? Is it unverifiable, etc. And then the rest of the tabs, GeoJSON, this will have nothing because I was using a file. For priorities, by default, we defined certain tasks as high priority. So ginamit namin yung Eugene, what was that project? The one from Facebook? The settlement. Okay. Do you remember the name of the project? But anyway, the definition was if the school is found in settlements or mapped settlements, we used to prioritize them over everything else. But we found that it wasn't very effective. So eventually we removed the priority or disregarded the priority rules. And then in this case, we were not removing stale tasks because we were not retrieving live information from OpenStreetMap. We're also using a custom Basemap instead of what's available here. So the custom Basemap is an XYZ tile for Maxar. Okay? So yan yung laman ng OSMA paaralan, and this is how it looks like. So if you go back and browse the challenge, if you change the layer, you have your usual list of layers available. But the default is the imagery coming from Maxar. So that's it. I'm going to look for the GeoJSON file, but while I'm doing that, questions are welcome. It's not Map with AI. It's the settlement. What's the name of that project? Hindi ko matandaan. I'll try to recall what that is. Okay, let me just find the GeoJSON that I can show to Mapdex. But I'm not sure why Mapdex wants to.
Hi, sir.
Uh,
Ayan. Kasi,
yes.
syempre, ay, kailang ba English? May visitors ba? Charot.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, sir, please
Yes.
do not proceed anymore. I know more English. Tinapos yung tanong na yun. Ano, because basically, sir, from our end, we will be getting LGBT safe spaces and HIV facilities na
Mm-hmm.
may coordinates na. For
Mm-hmm.
example, regional hubs, we were able to get regional hubs with the location of their uh, testing sites, yung mga ganun. For example, Region 3. So, we would like to try namin to use map relay in order to validate if the POI ba is in OpenStreetMap na or do we need to add it pa?
Okay.
Parang ganun yung idea. Instead of mano-mano, parang gusto kong i-move siya from map to contrib to map roulette since medyo substantial yung data from the regional hubs.
Okay. So, since you already have the coordinates and you're also familiar, I assume that you're familiar with QGIS, it's as simple as exporting it as a GeoJSON file. I think the only caveat is that
Yung table, medyo nalilito pa ako sir doon sa format ng table, yung attribute table
why
if
it doesn't matter.
okay.
The only reason you would want to make sure the table is there is if you have plans of using the attributes for OpenStreetMap. If you're only using the location, you can create a GeoJSON file with nothing but with no attributes, just locations. So what's your
Okay.
plan for your project?
Ideally kasi sir, since meron na kaming location, name, and proposed tagging scheme sana, we would
Hmm.
add contact number, email, and the likes. Gusto ko sanang nakaset up na siya, like maparalan na copy-paste na lang siya to if may pin, parang ganon. So, I think kailangan ko gawin yung double bracket thing for the contacts para yung format niya naka-auto-generate na for each task.
Yeah. So, here, I have a small, medyo malaki kasi yung OSMA paddle. I have a smaller file here.
Sige sir.
Where is it?
Parang kahit lang yung table, like yung how were the columns named, parang gusto ko lang visually siya makita.
Well, you don't have to worry about the field names. Because the field names are not copied to OSM anyway. But you would want to set it up like the tags and then the value of the field. So let me show you my screen now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you wanted the raw GeoJSON file, right? So this is the GeoJSON. I guess it's better than. I should show this to you in QGIS na lang.
Wow.
I think I don't have there. You don't have to get scared of the GeoJSON file. It's just a GeoJSON file. But, okay. So this is a small demo of Datacom. Sorry, I'm not showing my screen. Overtime ako, sorry. Sandali lang. Okay, can you see my QGIS desktop?
Yes,
Okay, great.
Yes, we can see it.
Wala kayong makikita. You will only see a list, nodes representing schools in Dumaguete. So how does this GeoJSON file look like? Attributes, ganito lang. The field name doesn't matter because it will not go into OpenStreetMap. It just stays in your GeoJSON file. What's important is,
Sir, hindi po ata kita yung attribute table na takpan.
hindi. That's weird. Wait. I'll show my desktop na lang. Can you see it now?
Opo.
Okay, there. So this is the attribute table for the GeoJSON demo file for Dumaguete schools. So these are the attributes that I've had. So my province, city, school ID, etc. Yung location, of course, are also in the coordinates. But these are the raw attributes. So to use this file in MapRoulette, you would want to, let's go back to general. You would want to go to your instructions. Tapos, yung kunyari, amenity is equal to, kung mapapansin mo, may tag for code. And then yung double mustache o curly brackets. School name, yun yung matching field name na ginamit mo sa GeoJSON file mo.
Okay po.
Otherwise, that's it. That's the only portion where you want to be careful. But just one caveat, just make sure that you have the permission, written permission from the owners of the data. So in the case of the OSMA Paaralan project, we had the data back in 2013, but we only managed to create the challenge in 2019 because the licensing was not clear and we didn't want to add that in the project. So just a reminder for people who create challenges. So all of these attributes are permitted for use by DepEd. They actually released additional data, but in the waiver they gave, they did not include those fields, so we could not add them to the challenge. So those are the small things that project managers has to keep in mind when managing challenges. Okay, that's it. Any more questions? Sorry.
Okay na ako, sir.
Okay. So that's the MapRoulette project. I hope that I was able to show you some idea of how you can create your own MapRoulette challenge for your favorite project. I'm happy to hear that Miko is planning to move their project to MapRoulette. It would be interesting to see a lot more projects going on different platforms. I think the bottom line is we want to have platforms that are easy for contributors to use and as convenient for project managers as well. So are there any more questions? Okay, silence means no questions. Since there are no more questions, I'd like to end my presentation and proceed with the next segment of our session. So we'll go over time for a few minutes. I'd like to introduce one of the mappers that we keep on seeing for the last 13 weeks. No? His name is Emmanuel Porzuelo. Emmanuel, are you there? There. Okay. So,
Hi, good evening.
magandang gabi, Eman. So, si Emmanuel Porzuelo or Eman P, Eman underscore in OPSM, ay pinilit ko ba o ininganyo ko
Yeah.
ma-feature natin sa ating KYC segment for tonight. Okay, are you ready, Eman?
Yes. Okay pa.
Okay, thanks. Okay. This segment is usually about 15 minutes. We hope we can stay on time. Okay, so Eman, please tell us about yourself, what you do, and how you got started in OpenStreetMap.
Okay. So, good evening again, everyone. I am a research assistant, and actually, I am very new in OpenStreetMap. No, as mentioned by our facilitator, parang they noticed me around a few months back. But actually, that was one of the earliest. One of the earliest, yes, time that I had an encounter with OpenStreetMap.
Oh,
Actually, although I browsed OpenStreetMap around mga 2014, mga ganon. But yung talagang nag-sign up ako was just during the tawag
COVID.
dito, yung COVID, yes, the quarantine, no, the ECQ. Because actually, I am currently studying my master's in public administration sa isang university dito sa Pampanga. And my thesis, I'm focusing on my konting geospatial siya on the sectors here in the province. So that after that, syempre I needed resource on QGIS, etc. Nag-try ako membership sa mga groups. And so nakita ko yung mga post. First ko na nakita was actually the hot OSM na post on Map Pampanga. And yun, umpisa na doon. And I started my membership sa OSM and attending these sessions and webinars.
So talaga palang bagong-bago ka pa sa
Yes po.
OpenStreetMap.
Mga March lang siguro this year.
Okay, thank you. Huwag kang mag-alala. Maraming mga OpenStreetMap contributors na nagsisimula. They usually just learn or just use the map. But we're very happy that you decided that you can also contribute to OpenStreetMap. Okay. What motivates you to contribute to OpenStreetMap the way you do?
Okay, so the first motivation, as I mentioned earlier, I had this particular need. No? I had this need kasi yung thesis ko medyo, yun nga, kailangan ko din ng data. Where are those, for example, the agricultural producers in the area? Where are they? Where are the rice producers? Where are the rice millers? Yung mga ganon. So I needed the data. So I explored and I noticed that the data is readily available from OpenStreetMap and readily available for consumption, the studies. So it became my motivation na if I can get data or if it can benefit me. So I think parang it's a way of repaying, that I will have to contribute then also on the efforts that's needed for the consumption of other people and other activities.
So do you actually end up adding additional data that you may have that's available to you to OpenStreetMap?
For the moment, not yet. No, yung data on production, hindi pa ko sure kung paano ko siya actually ilalagay. Pero yun lang, yung level of participation ko lang is the mga activities like mga online mapping activities ng HAT and dito sa inyo din.
Okay. So is it possible for you to tell us if you prefer to contribute in any particular way, and could you say why?
Yes, I prefer to contribute in participation siguro on guided mappings kasi yun nga, as I mentioned, hindi pa ako very comfortable on how to siguro make the initiative or make the contribution from my own data. So at this moment, it's more on guided mapping activities like yung activities na ginagawa ng HUT, no, na nakikita ko kung paano sila. First, i-train ka kung paano mo i-map yung area, and then yun lang, contribution lang sa pag-add ng features.
Okay, thank you. What do you think is the biggest misconception about OpenStreetMap and how to address it?
Okay, so I think very limited din yung pakikipagkwentuhan ko sa the opportunity for me to talk about OpenStreetMap with other people is also limited. So very limited din yung makikita kong misconception or marireceive kong feedback regarding OpenStreetMap. But I think I can relate na lang yung sa misconception na lang siguro of GIS in general, no? When people kasi pag sinabing GIS or siguro OpenStreetMap and other mapping, they think about the map lang na okay, map may location, may direction, parang gano'n. Pag sabi mo map is direction, so kung naliligaw ka, if you're lost, if you need direction, then you need a map. That's one of the misconceptions that people are not able to appreciate that we are more on data, we are more on database management system, parang ganun. I had actually a friend just a couple of, I think last night, no? She shared that she was interviewed for a job in the Department of Tourism, and she was surprised why was she asked if she knows about GIS. So I told her it's about data. So if you have tourist destinations, you make it into a database and you can plot it in a map. So yun siguro yung one misconception that OpenStreetMap is actually full of data, useful data that we can use in different aspects. It's as simple as biking, as simple as strolling, to pandemic control, parang gano'n, no? Disaster, marami siyang application, and it boils down on the appreciation of the data.
Natumbok mo sa ulo yung isang malaking misconception about OpenStreetMap, that it's about maps. The reality is that OpenStreetMap is actually about data. That makes maps possible. So what do you think are the challenges of contributing to free and open geodata in the Philippines, specifically to OSM?
Of course, yung dominant challenge is the internet connection. Kasi kung poor yung internet connection sa isang area, gusto mo mag-contribute, siyempre kung minsan may inis, you will stop mapping if the internet connection is not that good. And I think the other challenge is maybe the reception of the stakeholders. I'm not sure, no, I have not really explored on this area, but hindi ko kasi masyadong narinig yung OpenStreetMap sa mga dati kong mga work. So it's possible kasi that the organization or the bosses, they might be inclined to proprietary software or other means that are may kailangan na budget. So that can be a challenge because if there are those preferences, then parang mag-aalangan ding mag-contribute yung mga contributors natin.
Yeah. Nabanggit mo yan, Eman. May tanong ako, paano mo na-discover ang OpenStreetMap?
Okay, so yung... Yes po. Way back in 2014, actually, I worked with the Bureau of Fisheries. Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, may konting mapping kami on fishery sector. And then Nag-ano ako, siyempre Google Maps yung pinaka automatic na gagamitin if pag may kailangan kang ano tawag ito, yung parang Basemap or yung layer na yon, automatic at that time pupunta sa Google Map. And then searching on mga features na hindi ko makita sa Google Map. Doon, I think Stack Overflow, if I'm not mistaken. Parang nakita ko siya sa Stack Overflow, may nag-mention about OpenStreetMap. Then yun, napuntahan ko siya and I was able to get the feature na kasi nung sa Google Map, parang I think mapping a mangrove area that time. And yung sa Google Map medyo nag-blur na yung photography. And then sa OpenStreetMap doon nakita ko yung parang boundary doon sa area. Pampanga din yun I'm not mistaken, southern part of Pampanga. So yun, doon ko first na encounter. It was Stack Overflow, I think.
Okay. So at the time, 2014, it was actually one of for the local community in the Philippines, that was fresh from Yolanda, Hayan.
Yes.
And it was at that time that people started discovering OpenStreetMap. May OpenStreetMap pala. May ganun palang datos sa OpenStreetMap. Is it possible for you to name one personal contribution to OSM that you're most proud of?
For the meantime, for this moment, parang wala pa namang very significant siguro, but I'm trying to build up yung contribution ko sa mapping activities dito sa Pampanga kasi parang disaster kasi yung Pampanga, flooding, and di ba dati pinatubo. So parang ko din siya, ma-associate ko din siya sa current study ko. And yun, parang doon yung gusto ko.
Okay. Yeah. Buti na lang, tama-tama ang dating ng HOT at ang research mo. Nagtugma sa Pampanga. In concrete and actionable terms, how can OpenStreetMap in the Philippines become better?
Siguro one way is on utilization. Siguro ma-expand natin or ma-promote pa natin yung pag-consume ng product consumption. Kasi 'di ba when we say Waze or Google Maps, the consumption is parang rampant na yung consumption. So sa OpenStreetMap siguro mas pa natin yung maging attractive siya sa mga persons na gumagamit ng data, gumagamit ng map. So that kasi siyempre pag maraming gumagamit, then there's also magko-correlate din yung magko-contribute ka that.
That's an interesting insight. Pero I'd like to add na in the Philippines, I think the biggest consumer of OSM data is nandito ba si Miko? Ang Grab. Present. Kasi yun nga lang, ang nakikita ng mga consumers gumagamit ng app users ng Grab, Google Maps, right?
Yes.
But the back-end portion, all the routing computations, POIs, actually come from OpenStreetMap.
Yes, I guess it's more on publicity siguro. Kasi for example, if you're a Grab rider ka lang naman, hindi mo talaga malalaman yun. You will not know that OpenStreetMap pala yung ginamit. But imagine kung lahat ng mga riders ng customers ng Grab, if they will know and if they will appreciate na OpenStreetMap, that's already a huge number.
I agree with you. Sana nga na ma-highlight pa na OpenStreetMap is behind a lot of other apps. OpenStreetMap data is behind a lot of other apps. Is it possible for you to name at least 3 local OSM or Phosphor-G initiatives other than those you initiated, and tell us why they come to mind.
Yes, so the recent activities that I have joined. So the first was the at OSM, the Map Pampanga activity. It came to my mind because that was my first activity that I joined, the first OpenStreetMap related activity where I joined. And Pampanga siya, I was also parang timing siya na yung na-post sa Facebook is Pampanga and I am also from Pampanga. So I grabbed the opportunity na tingnan what's happening in that kind of activity. So yun, tumatak talaga sa akin. And then the second, I think that I participated was the OSMA Paaralan. Although, yun naman, dun I was introduced with a MapRoulette and then medyo na-confuse ako, bakit MapRoulette na to nung the other week parang tasking manager yung pinag-uusapan. And then, kaya lang yung sa OSMA Paaralan, national siya, nationwide. So, pag napunta yung task ko sa isang lugar na hindi ako familiar, medyo nalito rin ako kung how to proceed. No? So, select ako ng ibang task na naman para makita ko yung medyo familiar ako na area. Or else parang hindi ko talaga makomplete hindi ko malaman kung paaralan ba talaga yun or hindi. And the third was the series of activities with the Ministry of Mapping. I think that was 2 weeks ago ba? Yung crowdsourcing and on the parang COVID platform using open source na software. Para sa akin parang ang ganda because if you like to present to your stakeholder or to your boss, for example, sa organization mo, yung application. I think Tableau, that was the first time that I've heard of the Tableau platform presented by someone from the SWD, I think. Ang ganda, ang ganda na mapakita mo yung data in that manner and malink mo siya sa available data din sa OpenStreetMap. So those activities parang pwede pala yung ganito, Parang din siya, related din siya sa mga microtasking topics natin. So yun po yung 3 initiatives that
Okay, thank you for elaborating. At this time, do you have any OSM-related personal anecdotes that you can share?
Hindi masyadong. Siguro na lang, pag nagmamapa ako, yung my 6-year-old son is always mapping with me and we enjoy things together. Yun kasi medyo mahilig din sa mga illustrations yung anak ko. So yun, mapa kaming dalawa dito. Yun siguro yung ma-share ko for the moment.
Meron ako mga ilang activities involving kids, siguro between 6 and 11 or 12-year-olds. And one of my favorite activity related to introducing them to maps is how I actually use Google Earth to do that. I try to let them imagine how, if you could fly, how do you think your neighborhood will look like? Yung mga tipong ganon. And nakakatuwa palagi yung reaction nila about, ganito pala yung itsura nun. Parang the appreciation for geography and spatial information is introduced to them at that age. It's always fascinating. Final question. So, what OpenStreetMap initiative is keeping you busy right now?
So, yun po, for the moment, mga activities of HAT, especially dito sa area ko, sa community. Kasi mas familiar ako sa area ko. For the moment, yun po yung mga activities na nag-i-involve ako.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Isang side comment lang. Doon sa OSMA Paaralan project, sa MapRoulette, it's possible for you to limit your task to Pampanga lang. Or kung nangyari sa isang town ka lang ng Pampanga, you can select that. it's possible to do that. A lot of people do that. Meron dito sa mga taga-norte, minamapa lang
Okay.
nila ay Ilocos or Baguio kasi mga taga doon sila and they want to be familiar. So if you have
Okay.
questions,
Good.
let us know if you have, so we can help you with that.
Sure.
All right. So thank you, Eman. Let's give Eman a round of applause. Yay! Walang kind of applause eh. Thank you for allowing us to, thank you for sharing your thoughts and insights with us. And we really appreciate that you've been joining us regularly in the last 3 or 4 months. Thanks, Eman. I'll turn over the floor to Eugene.
Okay, thanks, Erwin and Eman, for that wonderful Know Your Contributor section. So we're now approaching the last moments of our Wednesday Mapa Time session. So before we end, can we all take a Wi-Fi?
Fee. Okay. Smile on 3.
Screen grab time.
Meron ba? Smile. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. It's done.
Okay. So basically, if if you want to talk about what you've learned, or if you want to share something on social media, please use the following hashtag OSMPH, hashtag MapaTime, and hashtag WeMap. And finally, we would appreciate if you can fill in this survey. It will not take more than 5 minutes so that we can improve our Mapa Time sessions. I posted the link to the survey on the chat log. And now I'll turn the floor to anyone who has any announcements or news and updates. If you have any, for example, if you have any mapathons or activities or events that you're planning to do.
Say regular programming plug. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for Mapping 101 Thursdays with Dear Paul. It's on Facebook Live. And I'll see you at 18:30 Philippines Standard Time.
Well, as for me, I might start a vlog or a podcast within the next 1 or 2 months. I'll try to sort things out first, then I'll jumpstart it. And one of the things that I will talk about in my future podcast or vlog or whatever endeavor that is on cartography and OSM.
Anybody else? Miko, wala ka announcements? Okay. Okay, hearing none. Next week, our session will be easy web mapping using Sheet Mapper, and this will be facilitated by the local Phos4J community. And that's it. Thanks everyone for attending this week's Wednesday Mapa Time session.
Are there any more questions that natanong na ba? So I want to say thank you again to our guest tonight, Keith Yeri, who's from Prague. So The DAN project is very interesting, and one of these days, I hope to test out the microtasking platform.
Thanks.
Thank
It
you.
was fun to be here. So nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you also.
Okay, thanks everyone. Good night. Hope to see you again next week.
Good night and take care to all.
See you. Bye.
Good
Bye.
night. Have a sweet day and God bless.